Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be showing you how to use all of these shortcuts and all of these quick marking menu options so you can go from modeling like this to modeling like this. Learning these shortcuts alone will save you hours of time, and learning the shift plus right click menu options will make you even faster, because every tool you need is right under your cursor. And I've also added some dubbed voiceovers and subtitles in different languages, so make sure to select the preferred language if it helps you understand better. By the end of this video, you will know the entire toolkit to model like a pro in Maya. Okay, so first up is shortcuts. These are the backbone of fast modeling. So I know these seem basic, but most slow modelers waste time clicking buttons that these shortcuts handle instantly. First up, we have some general tools. Press Q to switch to selection mode. You can select any object or component. Press W to switch to the Move tool. Move any selected objects or components. Press E to rotate the selected object or component. Press R to scale the selected object or component. Press Ctrl A to toggle the channel box and attribute editor. Press Ctrl-Shift-A to select all of the objects in your scene. This will also select any cameras or lights that you have. If you want to deselect, just hold Ctrl and click. Ctrl-Z to undo your last action. Ctrl-Y or Command-Shift-Z to redo. Ctrl-D or Command-D to duplicate the selected objects. Ctrl-S or Command-S to save your scene. Ctrl-G or Command-G to group your selected objects. This will allow you to move the whole group. Press F to frame the selected object. This is useful if you're lost in your scene and want to focus the camera on the selected object. Press A to frame all of your objects in the camera. If you hold Shift while on the Move tool, it will clone your object. If you hold Shift while selecting a face, it will extrude the face. And same thing applies for vertices and edges. If you're on face mode and you would like to select a face loop, you can click the face, hold Shift and double click its neighboring face to select the face loop, and you can do this any direction. And to select all faces, just double click any face and it will select all the faces. Same thing for edges and vertices. Number 4, 5, 6, and 7 are display modes. These do not affect your render. Number 4 is for wireframe. 5 is to go to shaded view. 6 is to go to shaded plus textured view. And 7 to enable lights in the scene. If you turn this on and your objects are black, it's because you haven't added any lights to your scene yet. Alt plus middle mouse to move the camera horizontally or vertically. Alt plus right mouse to zoom in or zoom out. You can also use your scroll wheel if you have a mouse. Alt B to cycle background colors in viewport. Hold X to snap your selected object to the grid. You can also hold X and middle mouse button drag anywhere in your scene to snap the selected object in the grid. Hold V and middle mouse click drag to snap your object to any point. Holding C will snap the object to any curve that you made. You can also hold C and middle mouse button drag to position any object anywhere in your scene. Press G to repeat the last action. For example, if you created a helix, you don't have to select it from the menu again, you can just press G. Control E or Command E to extrude any faces or edges you selected. Control B or Command B to bevel any selected edges or faces. Control H will temporarily hide any selected objects in your viewport. You can unhide any hidden objects pressing Shift H. Now animation and timeline controls. But first, let's make sure we're playing in real time by right-clicking in the timeline, changing it to real-time speed. You can press Alt-V or Option-V to play or pause. Press S to set a keyframe for the selected property. Pressing period will jump you to the next keyframe, and pressing comma will jump you to the previous keyframe. Pressing Y will reactivate the last tool. How is this different from pressing G? Is that Y will reactivate the last tool, but G will redo the last action. Press Enter or Q to confirm and exit the current interactive tool. Minus and equal sign will resize your manipulator, which is the UI that shows up if you're on Move, Rotate, Scale mode. Tapping spacebar key will expand the current viewport. You can hover your mouse over any view and then press space again to go inside that view. Holding spacebar will show all of the menus. I'll put all the shortcuts you should know here so you can screenshot and save it. Okay, now let's look at the first marquee menus, which is Object Mode. Here you can create primitives quickly. We have primitives like plane, cube, sphere, cylinder, cone, and torus, but you can also get more shapes like a prism, gear, soccer ball, helix, and ultra shapes. Normally you would go digging through the top create menu, but with shift right click they appear directly under your cursor. And also pro tip, enable interactive creation to click and drag primitives directly into your scene. Okay, so while not selecting any objects, let's hold shift and right click to show up the menu. Let's talk about create polygon tool first. You can draw custom polygon face by clicking points. Click at least 3 points in your scene to make something. If you make a mistake while drawing, you can just press escape to reset and draw again. And after you're happy, you can just press enter or Q. Make sure you deselect first by pressing Q and selecting anywhere empty on the scene to go back to the Objects menu. Plane is just a flat rectangular polygon surface. It's good for surfaces, floors, or grids. You can increase the subdivision, which is the resolution from the channel box. Then go into the Poly tab and adjusting the subdivisions. You can either use the sliders or you can just click on the attributes Then move your mouse to your viewport and then use the middle mouse button to drag left or right, which will alter the value. You can also do this for multiple attributes by selecting one and then holding Shift to select multiple attributes, and then go to your viewport and middle mouse click drag left or right. We have disk, which is just a flat circular polygon. It's good for making wheels, discs, or bases. Next, we have cylinder, which is just a 3D round column with caps. It's good for creating columns, tubes, or cans. Sphere is just a round ball-shaped polygon mesh. Is used for heads, balls, planets, and so on. Then we have cone, which is just a tapered shape with circular base. It's good for making spikes, trees, cones, or like ice creams. Torus is a donut-shaped polygon with round cross-section. It's good for creating handles, rings, or toys. Cube is a six-sided box. You can change the subdivisions to increase or decrease the resolution. Platonic Solid is a mathematical base shapes. It's good for creating stylized or low poly models. Pyramid is a four-sided pointy shape with square base. It looks like the Egyptian pyramids. It's good for creating roofs or gems. Prism is a triangle-based extruded polygon. It's good for creating crystal shards or angled walls. Next we have pipe, which is a hollow cylinder with thickness. It's good for creating vents, plumbing, or rings. Helix is a coiled spring shape. It's good for creating springs or wires. Gear is a toothed wheel shape. It looks like the settings icon. It's good for creating mechanics or stylized icons. Soccer ball is just a soccer ball. You can create stylized sports balls. Subbar ellipse is blended cubes with sphere primitives. It's cool for creating soft blocky shapes or stars. And in the channel box, you can only adjust the ellipse values. By the way, if you're tired of constantly changing the subbar ellipse values to a star, what you can do is you can hold shift, right click, but instead of clicking the subbar ellipse, you can hover your mouse over this box icon and let go. And here you can adjust the default values until you're happy, so that every time you create a subbar ellipse, the new default values will be used. Next we have Spherical Harmonics, which is a procedural deformed sphere. It's cool for creating abstract or sci-fi shapes. And again, you can only adjust the harmonics sliders. Changing the other sliders won't have any effect. Next we have Ultra Shapes, which is barometric primitive generator, which is cool for creating any experimental base meshes or abstract alien-like shapes. Next we have the Type tool, which is just 3D text. It's good for creating logos, signs, UI elements. I'm not going to be explaining the details so much. We have SVG, which imports vector files into polygons. It's good for bringing in logos or UI paths. You can use softwares like Illustrator or Linkscap to make your vector files. Okay, now without holding shift, just right clicking gives you these classic component menus: Object Mode, Vertex, Edge, Face, and UV. This is how you switch between components in a single click instead of messing around with drop-downs. Selecting Object Mode will switch to Full Object Selection Mode. This allows you to select the whole thing, not just parts. Switching to Face Mode will select faces in your object. This is good if you want to move or extrude specific faces. Selecting Edge will switch to Edge Selection Mode. This is good for selecting lines in your object. Selecting Vertex Mode will switch to Vertex Point Selection Mode. This is good for moving specific points and vertices. Vertex Face allows you to access vertex per face. It's barely used, nobody uses this one. Multi allows you to select any component types at once. UV lets you switch to UV selection mode. But we're not going to talk about UVs and texture right now. If you want more information on this, you can view my texturing tutorials. Make Live will set objects as surfaces for retopology tools. So you can use it as a drawing surface. After you're done, you can just click this magnet icon right here. Materials attributes will allow you to show the material attribute editor. This is the default material for all of the objects. You can make all of the objects lighter or darker, but other than that, I wouldn't recommend changing anything because this is the default material. If you want to make a new material, you can just right click, assign favorite material, and use the Open PBR surface. It has tons of different presets you can browse through. You can also assign an existing material. So if you already made a material that you would like to use again, you can select it from here. To be able to identify your material, make sure you set a name every time you make a new material so you know where it is. It has tons of different presets you can browse through. I will list them all here. You can screenshot. Okay, now with object mode, with shift right clicking, you'll see object level modeling tools like Extrude, Mirror, Smooth, Retopologize, Combine, Separate, and Booleans. Instead of navigating to Mesh, then Booleans, then Difference, you get it quickly here. These are the global actions for whole objects. For this menu to show up, you always need to be on object mode. Okay, let's talk about Extrude. You're going to be using this tool very much. It basically makes shapes stick out of others. You can use this on any mode. You can use it on object mode, face mode, edge mode, and even vertex mode. Selecting Extrude from this menu is fast, but there's even a faster method. You can select your component and then press W, E, or R for move, rotate, and scale. And then from that, hold Shift and drag the modifier. This is the fastest method. Okay, make sure you go to object mode again to see the object options. Insert Edge Loop tool adds a full edge loop through geometry. This increases the subdivisions, which increases the resolution. You can use the new faces and new edges to make even more extrusion with the Extrude tool. Again, to exit any tool, just press Q or Enter. The next tool I'm going to be talking about is Multi-Cut tool. This allows you to ninja slice your objects, so you get more faces and more points and more edges to extrude. Next is Sculpt Tool, and before we use this tool, make sure to increase the subdivisions of your object and also go into shaded mode by pressing 3 on your object. This tool is super fun. You can use it to sculpt like clay. Some controls you should know: to change the brush size, hold P and hold middle mouse button and then drag to the left or to the right to resize the brush. To adjust the strength, hold M and middle mouse button, drag up or down. You can also hold Shift to smooth out any rough shapes. And after you're done, you can just click Q or Enter. Next is Target Wheel Tool. This allows you to drag one vertex or edge to another by merging them together. Fill holes allows Maya to automatically detect any holes in your object and close them. Soften, harden edges. Soften, harden edges allows you to adjust the shading on selected edges. It basically changes how light hits the edge. Append to Polygon tool allows you to add a polygon between two border edges. It basically allows you to click edges to draw new faces. Offset edges loop tool allows you to add a ring around your model so it bends better when smothered. Smooth makes the model look rounder and less sharp by adding new subdivisions. Unsmooth does the opposite. It takes off the roundness that you added. So what's the difference between using the smooth tool and just pressing 3 to preview the subdivided mode? Is that if you go to the render view, when you actually render it, smooth actually physically smooths out your object, while pressing 3 just gives you the illusion of a smoothed object. You can see the difference in the outline. Crease Tool keeps edges from getting too soft when smooth. You can select the edges you want to crease and then hold middle mouse button and move horizontally to adjust the strength. And as you can see, the edges we creased are not smoothed. And for the next tool, I will need to make a curve. Project curve on mesh is a bit advanced, and it allows you to draw a curve on your 3D object. So it's basically like the multi-cut ninja slice tool, but you can use a curve instead. And it will project the curve based on the camera angle you're looking at. Split mesh with projected curve. After you project a curve on mesh, you can split the mesh with the projected curve. Mirror mirrors geometry across axes. It makes the other side of your model automatically. Make sure you choose the correct axis, either X, Y, or Z. Then we have Triangulate and Quadrangulate. Triangulate turns your subdivisions into triangles. Triangulate. In the name, triangulate. A triangle has 3 sides, 3 points, and 1 face. Quadrangulate turns your faces into quads. What is a quad? A quad is a 4-sided, 4-edged face. And anything more than 4 sides, we call it an angon. Triangles are mostly used on video games, so You only want to use triangles instead of quads for when you're modeling something for video games, because triangles are preferred for video games because they're lower size and easier to handle in video games. But most of the time you should be using quads. Why? Because they better for modeling and animation, because quads deform better than triangles when animating. Reduce basically lowers the poly count if you want to have a more stylized or an origami look. Remesh evenly redistributes topology. It basically spreads out the little faces more evenly. Retopologize. So if your topology looks really bad and your edges and vertices are all over the place, you can use Retopologize to rebuild the blocks of your model to flow better. This fixes the shape and topology of your 3D model. Combine merges separate meshes into one. How is this different from grouping with Ctrl G? Grouping won't actually merge the 3D meshes physically, it will just group them together in the outliner. Combine, on the other hand, it physically combines your objects. You can separate to break apart combined 3D objects. Booleans. This allows you to let objects cut or merge into each other. For Booleans to work, you need to have two objects selected. Cleanup fixes bad geometry issues in your 3D model. Connect tool connects selected vertices or edges. It basically draws a line between points or edges. Quad draw tool, we looked at this tool before but we couldn't use it. It basically manually moves edges or faces or points in your 3D model. And that's all the important object mode tools. Now I'm going to be talking about the face mode tools. So if you select a face, you will get these tools, and you will see familiar tools we've talked about in object mode, like the Extrude tool, multi-cut, smooth, mirror, and so on. So I'm going to be skipping the ones we've already talked about and focus on the new ones so that this video isn't 5 hours long. Okay, I'm going to be talking about the Wedge Face tool first. Let's see what it does. If I use it, I will get an error. So for this tool to work, you need to be on multi mode. You will need to select a face and an edge. So let's go to multi-tool, click any face you would like, but before we wedge it, I'm just going to extrude it just so that we can see this better. So I'm going to be selecting the face and the hold shift and this edge. And then I'm going to hold shift, right click, and use the wedge tool. And what it does, it basically extrudes a face along an arc. And you can make it go forward or backward, which is very cool. And you can maybe set it at 90 degrees and then select this face, extrude it downward to create some cool shapes. The next tool I'm going to be talking about is the Oak Face. Let's see what it does. So this tool creates a vertex in the middle of the face. So now if I try to move it out, it will poke out. Next, I'm going to be talking about the Bevel Face, which will create round corners for you to do whatever you would like with it. You can extrude them, bevel them more, and you can even make it into a triangle. Next, I'm going to be talking about the Bevel Face, which will create round corners for you to do whatever you would like with it. You can extrude them, bevel them more, and you can even make it into a triangle. Next, I'm going to be talking about the Circularize Components. So it doesn't do anything at first, but if you add subdivisions, it will circularize your face. And you can actually do a lot of things with it. You can move it forward or backward, and you can make it bigger or smaller. You can twist it, and so on. Next, I'm going to be talking about the Detach Component. So you can use this for a face, a vertex, or an edge. Let's see what happens. So it looks like nothing happened, but if you try to move this face, it will be detached. So notice that I've detached this face, but we still have only one object. Why? Is because we've just detached it from the object. So if you want to make a separate object, you can use the extract faces. And now notice how we have two objects. We have the cube and we have the face. And it will be in a group. You can move it by holding middle mouse button and dragging it outside the group if you wish to. But if you would like a copy of the face without detaching it, you can use the duplicate face, and it will actually put it in a new object, and you can move this new object anywhere. And notice if you try to move it, the origin will be in the middle. So if you would like to center the origin, you can just use this tool right here, which will center the pivot. And now the pivot is centered. Next, I'm going to be talking about the add divisions to faces. It will increase the subdivisions, which is the resolution of your faces. Okay, so the next tool I'm going to be talking about, I will need two faces. So I'm going to click one face here, hold shift and click one face here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bridge them. So bridge faces will create a bridge between the two faces you selected. You can increase the divisions or change the curve type. Okay, now let's dive into vertex mode. So in vertex mode, you get a lot of familiar tools we've already talked about before, like the Crease Tool, Multicut Tool. So I'm gonna skip the familiar ones and talk about the new ones that might be useful. First, let's select a vertex, which is a point. I'm gonna be talking about the Chamfer Vertex first, which will convert a vertex into a quad, and you can increase the width or lower it. Why is this useful? Because now you can maybe go into face mode and maybe extrude it and so on. Next, let's talk about average vertices. So I'm actually going to select all the vertices by double clicking on any point to select all, and then I'm going to use the average vertices. So the average vertices works in a similar way to the smooth tool, but without adding extra resolution and subdivisions. It basically modifies every vertex and meets in the middle average if you would like more of an organic look. And I think that's it. I'm going to let you play around and figure out what the other tools are. You should be familiar enough by now. And I think that's it. Now you know all the useful shortcuts and useful tools and marking menus you can use, so you can be a faster modeler. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you have any video ideas or you have questions about this video, leave a comment down below and I will reply to it. Thank you all for watching and happy modeling!